So please begin by lying down on your mat, on your back, and I've just got a little foam pad just to give me some support underneath the back of the head. You might want something similar, and please lengthen the legs to begin the class, and have the arms either on the tummy or just comfortably down by your side, and then bring your attention to your left foot and begin as the leg is lying, so don't change the position of the leg, just begin to point and flex the foot. So when you point the foot, you send the toes away from you, and when you flex the foot, you send the heel away from you and draw the toes towards the shin. So just gently pointing and flexing a few more times. And when you flex in particular, drawing the toes towards you, just be careful not to lift the heel. So particularly if you hyperextend in the knees, you just need to be careful that you're not lifting the heel off the floor, you're just lengthening the calf towards the heel, just pointing and flexing. And then leave that alone, and then bring your attention to your right leg as it lies, and begin just to gently point and flex the right foot. But thinking particularly of the heel pushing away from you but not lifting as you flex, and then the toes sending them away from you as you point. And then pause, and then imagine you have these felt tip markers on your big toes, and you just begin to make some generous circles in space with the big toes leading the movement, but definitely allowing the heels to be part of those circles. So the heels continue to push in and out, and you'll feel, if you allow it to, how the movement, if you allow the knees to roll in and out, this movement begins to travel all the way up into the hip joints and into the pelvis and the spine. And then just reverse the direction of the circles. So still thinking of the big toe sides of the feet leading the movement. And then pause, and then put the markers in your imagination on your little toes, and again begin to make some circles, but thinking of the little toe sides of the feet leading the movement. I just got a big crack there, which is a good release in the ankle. And then reverse the direction of the circles, still with the idea that the little toe side of the foot is leading the movement. And then pause, center the feet on the back of the heels. So this time the knees and the toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And then just see if you can curl the toes under without pointing the foot. And then think of spreading the toes apart. So you curl the 10 toes under, and then think of spreading them apart, and then once more curl the toes under and spread them apart, and then stay on the centre of the back of the heels, but just try and show the soles of the feet towards each other and away from each other. So soles of the feet towards each other and then away from each other, just like two doors opening and closing a few more times. And then leave that alone, and please bring both legs to standing. So excuse me, losing my socks. You have the feet hip distance apart or shoulder width apart, and the knees resting over the feet. And then just bring your attention to the right foot, and see if you can lift the big toe side of the foot to bring the weight onto the little toe side, and then lift the little toe side of the foot to bring the weight onto the big toe side. So as you're doing this, just try to keep the knee more or less looking at the ceiling. So it's not so much a big movement in the hip joint, it's more trying to find that movement in the ankle joint to do it. And then leave that alone, bring your attention to your left foot and try to do the same there. So you're just lifting the big toe side of the foot to bring the weight onto the little toe side, and then lifting the little toe side of the foot to bring the weight onto the big toe side. And again, you might find the knee making a big movement from side to side. If that's the case, just try to keep the knee more or less looking towards the ceiling if you can. and then leave that alone. And then imagine you are lying on this clock again. It's painted on the back of your pants about the size of a large orange, and 12 o'clock is towards the head and 6 o'clock towards the feet. Could you press evenly through the feet to roll the pelvis to 12 o'clock? And then you think the feet becoming light to help you go to 6 o'clock. So press down evenly into the feet to roll to 12 so the lower back comes close to the floor, and to go to 6 o'clock you let the pressure off the feet to help arch the lower back. So again, just to 12 and then to 6 and to 12 and to 6. And then the next time you still use the feet, but also more actively, if you can, think of pulling in a spot 2 inches below the navel, and then to go to 12 o'clock, and then push. Don't be afraid of pushing out that spot low down to go to 6 o'clock. So you pull in and press into the feet to go to 12, feet become light, and push out that lower abdominal area to go to 6 o'clock. And then come to a place that is more or less in between, and then lengthen your left leg. So right leg stays standing, and just be careful that the right leg isn't too close to the left leg. You may need to move it a little bit further out to the side. And with the arms now down by the side, begin to press into the right foot to roll the pelvis towards the left, but not just towards the left. You're also, in terms of our clock, thinking of 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock as we did last week, pressing into the foot so that you're trying to roll the pelvis a little bit more towards the ribs on the left hand side, towards the left scapula, the shoulder blade, and then you let the pelvis come back down each time. So just gently pressing, rolling the pelvis, and then release. Now pause and bring your left arm out at shoulder height, so the palm is just turned towards the ceiling. Bring your right hand onto the breastbone, and then begin to reach the right fingers along the left arm, and you turn the head and eyes. You're trying to bring the two hands together, or where you can comfortably get without strain, and you press into the right foot to help roll a little bit more to the left hand side to bring the hands together, and see if you can then roll back slowly onto the back, so you're transferring weight. So again, begin to reach with the right arm along the left arm, turn the head and eyes to try and see the hands, pressing into the foot as necessary to help you roll a little bit more to the left, and then you come all the way onto the back, keeping the right fingers in contact with yourself. And once more, so you reach, check the breath is easy, the jaw is nice and soft, pressing into the foot, and then you roll back slowly onto the back. Now, the next couple of movements, try to stay looking either at the ceiling or over the right shoulder as if you wanted to see the left heel, but keep the head resting down, don't lift it to do that. So again, you reach across, you press into the foot, breath nice and easy, looking towards the ceiling if possible or over the shoulder, and then you come back. And we'll just do one more like that, differentiating the head and neck from the chest as you're reaching across to the left, and then you come back. Now return to looking to the left again. So as you reach across with the right arm, pressing into the left foot, you turn the head and eyes, and then you come back. And then for those whose shoulder mobility permits, begin to take the left arm higher by increments on the floor as you reach the hands together, trying to look with the head and eyes, pressing into the foot as necessary, still trying to keep that right knee looking towards the ceiling. So you need to feel the contact of the foot into the floor. And if you're going by increments, some of you will be able to eventually bring that left arm more or less in line with the left leg, and you're still continuing to reach the hands together, turning the head and eyes to see, and then come back. Just bring the arms back down by the side and then change the legs around. So your left leg is standing, your right leg is long, and initially just have the arms down by your side and begin to explore pressing into the left foot to roll the pelvis to the right, but also with the idea it's aiming a little bit towards the right shoulder or the right rib. So you might need, I do certainly, to recruit that spot 2 inches below the navel a little bit to help ensure that the lower back on the right hand side is coming closer to the floor. And now pause, take your right arm out at shoulder height to begin with, palm is turned towards the ceiling, and with your left hand on your breastbone, again it's important to keep the left fingers in contact with yourself, begin to reach across with the left hand towards the right hand, turning the head and eyes to look where you're reaching and pressing into the foot as necessary to help bring the hands together. So again, reach, look, breathe, keep the jaw nice and relaxed as you transfer weight to the right hand side, and then you roll back onto the back. Don't just fall onto the back. So pressing, reaching, turning the head and eyes to the right, and then you come back to centre. And then just for a few movements, see if you can stay looking at the ceiling or over the left shoulder as you're reaching across to the right, and then you come back, jaw nice and relaxed as you're reaching, and come back, and then return to looking to the right as you're reaching across with the left hand to the right, and come back. And then for those whose shoulder mobility permits, again, begin to explore taking your right arm progressively higher on the floor as you're reaching the hands together. So just nice easy breathing, take it by increments with the right arm, and then eventually some of you will be able to get that right arm, but it doesn't matter if you don't, more or less in line with the right leg as you're reaching and pressing the feet together. And then pause, bring the arms back down by the side for a moment, let the legs go long, and then just very lazily roll the head from right to left. So just keeping the jaw a slight distance between the lower teeth and the upper teeth, and use your eyes, if your eyes are closed at the moment, open the eyes so that you explore your room with your vision. And then pause in the centre, stay looking at a spot on the ceiling with the eyes, and see again if you can roll the head from right to left, but keep the eyes focused on that spot on the ceiling just above you. And if you wear glasses like me, try to make sure you find the corner of your eyes, not just the corner of your spectacles as you do the movement. And then pause, and then return to letting the eyes lead the movement of the rolling of the head. Now come back to centre, bring both legs to standing, fold your right leg in towards you, and take hold of the right knee with the left hand, or behind the back of the thigh if the knee's uncomfortable for you. Have the right hand behind the back of the head, point the right elbow towards the ceiling, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, try to bring the elbow and the knee towards each other, and then you release the head and shoulders back down. So again, take a good breath in, breathe into the tummy, into the chest. As you exhale, try to bring the elbow and the knees towards each other. But if they don't touch, it doesn't matter. It's much more important that you feel how, if you use the out breath, your ribs soften. It's almost as if they're pulled down into the floor to help with the lifting of the head. Idea here is not to feel any strain in the neck muscles or the jaw muscles. It's really the chest that does the work for you, your core to lift the head and then release. Now keep the right hand behind the back of the head, bring the left knee in, so your left hand is now on the left knee. Take a breath in again, and as you exhale, try to bring the elbow and the knee towards each other, and then you release back down. So take your time to do this. It's really important that you let the breath, the out breath happen to enable those ribs to soften and be part of the movement. And then we'll just do one more full up. Take a breath in, exhale, trying to bring the elbow and the knee towards each other, and release. Now keep the left leg where it is above the chest and change hands. So it's the right hand on the left knee, the left hand comes behind the back of the head. Take a breath in to begin with. As you exhale, bring the elbows and the knee towards each other, and then you release. So just getting our folding, take a breath in, exhale, ability to use the trunk to lift the head. Just going to do two more. Take a breath in. As you exhale, try to bring the elbow and the knee towards each other and release. And then last time, take a breath in, exhale, fold and release. Now put the left leg down and bring the right leg in. So the right hand is on the right knee, the left hand is still behind the back of the head. Take a breath in. As you exhale, again, see if the elbow and the knee can come towards each other, not because you're pulling them towards each other, but you're letting your chest soften. And we'll just do two more. Take a breath in, exhale, try to fold, inhale to release, and then last time, inhale, exhale, elbow and the knee towards each other and release. Just bring the arms back down by the side for a second, just so I can feel the abdominals are waking up a little bit on this Monday morning. So now we're going for the shock tactic. So you bring both knees in towards the chest, wrap your right forearm behind the backs of the thighs if you can. The lower legs are just dangling at the moment. Left hand is behind the back of the head. Take a breath in. As you exhale, try to stretch the heels up towards the ceiling as you lift the head and shoulders and look at your tummy, not at the knees, and then release back down. Take another breath in. As you exhale, again, it's as if your feet are sliding straight up a wall towards the ceiling rather than bringing them in towards the head, and then you release back down. And again, take a breath in, exhale, imagine you're sliding the feet up a wall as you lift the head and shoulders, and you release back down. And then one more time, take a breath in, exhale, it's as if your middle abdominals are coming together like a sponge being wrung out, and then you release back down. So let's just do the other side. So bring the left forearm behind the backs of the thighs, right hand is now behind the back of the head. Take a breath in. As you exhale, stretch up, looking at the tummy, inhale to release back down. We have three more to go. Inhale, exhale. It looks and feels like an abdominal exercise for sure, but what we're doing here is really by letting the weight come into the middle part of the back, it's those back muscles get an opportunity to release down towards the floor. One more time, take a breath in, exhale, stretch the heels up, look at the tummy, and then you release back down. Just bring one foot down and then the other. Bring the arms back down by the side once more, and then just bring your attention to your right shoulder and begin to slide the right shoulder up to the ear and then away from the ear. So you're just sliding the right shoulder up to the ear and away from the ear, up to the ear and away from the ear. So as you're doing this, try to keep the hand soft, the wrists soft, so it's really a movement that's coming from your shoulder and your ribs. You can feel how the ribs soften together as you reach the arm down, and then shoulder back up to the ear. And then bring your attention to your left arm, left shoulder, and do the same on that side. So left shoulder away from the ear and up to the ear, away from the ear and up to the ear. And then let's combine this with the two shoulders, two arms. So as one shoulder slides up to the ear, the other slides away, and vice versa. And you're just looking to allow the head to rest in the middle as you're exploring this movement with the ribs and the shoulders. It's very interesting. It begins to bring movement into that area at the base of the neck that often gets quite immobile. Good. Now pause, keep the arms down by your side. Make sure that you feel your back heavy into the floor. So you may just want to press into the feet a little bit to make sure you're more towards that 12 o'clock position. You want your that spot 2 inches below the navel. It's as though it's been nailed in to pin the upper part of your sacrum into the floor. And then keep that super steady as you fold the right leg in towards the chest again. And then that's as you inhale. As you exhale, turn the leg out so the sole of the right foot is facing the inside of the left knee. And then inhale, stretch the leg long up towards the ceiling with a point. It's turned out. Flex through the heel and lower the leg until it hovers an inch or so off the mat, but don't let that sacrum release. Point the foot, turn the leg back into parallel and bring it straight in over the chest. Exhale, turn it out. Up to the ceiling with a point so the leg is long. Flex through the heel to lower but not to touch. Point, turn in and float the leg back in. Exhale, turn it out. Reach up to the ceiling with a point. Flex through the heel to lower, but keep the back heavy. Point, turn in, float it back in. Have 2 more to do. Inhale, turn out. Up to the ceiling with a point. Flex to lower. Point, turn in, fold it back in. And then exhale, turn it out. Up to the ceiling with a point. Flex to lower. Point, turn in, float it back in over the chest. Put the foot carefully back down. Don't let go of the control of the pelvis. Inhale to float the left leg in. Exhale, turn the leg out in the hip joint. Stretch the leg long up to the ceiling with a point. Flex through the heel to lower with a straight leg but not to touch the floor. Point, turn in, bring it back in. Exhale, turn it out. Up to the ceiling with a point. Flex to lower. Point, turn in, float it back in. Exhale, turn it out. Reach up to the ceiling with a point. Flex to lower, again keep the lower back down, point, turn in, float it back in, and then carefully put the foot back down. Got 1 more to do in this French series, so float the right leg in towards the chest, exhale, turn it out. Reach the leg long up to the ceiling with a point. Now push the heel away from you as though you're trying to touch the ceiling with the heel, and then just lower the leg but not to touch, point and bring it straight back up. Flex to lower, point to lift. Flex to lower, point to lift. Flex to lower, point to lift, and flex to lower and point to lift. Hold, fold the leg back in, carefully put the foot back down, and then we do the other side. So inhale to float the left leg in towards the chest. Exhale, turn the leg out in the hip joint. Reach up to the ceiling with a point, and here we go for Batman, straight down with a flex and up with a point. Down with a flex and up with a point. Keep going down with a flex and up with a point. Got a few more to do. Up with a point, down with a flex. Last time, up with a point. Bring the leg back into parallel, fold it into the chest and carefully put the foot back down, and then you can release the control of the pelvis. Now fold your right leg over the left, so a good cross of the thighs, and then have the arms just down by your side to begin with, and begin to explore tilting the knees to the right just a little bit to begin with, and then exhale, bring the legs back to center. So you're just tilting the knees to the right as you inhale, and then exhale, come back to center. As you get used to the rhythm of this movement, you'll notice how the left side of the pelvis becomes light, the right side becomes heavy, the ribs on the right hand side become heavy. Only tilt the knees as far as you can keep the left shoulder heavy. So you're not rolling onto the right hand side, we're looking for a twist. And then one other detail here, which many of you know already, just be careful to keep that spot 2 inches below the navel engaged slightly, so that we are using this movement to develop a lengthening twist through the spine as opposed to a back bend. It's not that I've got anything against back bends, but we don't want one just yet. And then come back to centre. Now pause and change the cross of the leg. So it's left leg crossed over right, and begin to tilt the knees to the left as you breathe in. Exhale, come back to centre. Again, tilting the knees to the left as you breathe in. Exhale, come back to centre. Now let's make it more interesting by taking the head and eyes in the opposite direction to the knees. Exhale, come back to centre. So knees to the left but head and eyes to the right. Exhale, come back to centre. And now eyes and knees to the left but head to the right. Exhale, come back to centre. Eyes and knees to the left but head to the right. And then exhale, come back to centre. Just pause, change the cross of the legs again so it's right over left, and then begin to tilt the knees to the right but look with the head and eyes to the left, and then exhale, come back to centre. So again, inhaling knees to the right, head and eyes to the left, exhale, come back to centre, and now eyes and knees to the right but head to the left. If you can, take your time and come back to centre. Eyes and knees to the right but head to the left, and then come back to centre. Good. Just pause, uncross the legs, keep the arms long by your side once more, and then keep the feet about hip distance apart, knees over the heels. Take a breath in, and this time as you breathe out, squeeze your bottom for all it's worth and pick the pelvis up off the mat, straight up towards the ceiling, and then put it straight back down. So you take a breath in. As you breathe out, press down into the heels in particular, squeeze your bottom to pick the pelvis up, and then put it straight back down. And a couple more. Take a breath in. As you're pressing into the feet, you want to think of the thighs lengthening towards the toes so that you're not pushing yourself towards the head on the mat, and then release back down. Now we're just going to challenge this a little bit more. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, press into the feet, squeeze your bottom for all it's worth. Now keep the right leg steady and just lift the left heel, the left foot about an inch or so off the floor, but try not to dip the pelvis. Put it down and then put the pelvis back down. Other side. Take a breath in, exhale, press into the heels, squeeze your bottom like crazy as if you're tucking the pelvis. Keep yourself steady as you just float the right foot an inch or so off the floor and put it down, and then bring the pelvis all the way back down and release. Please roll to the right hand side and come up onto all fours for some cat stretches and their variations. So I've got a thicker mat. If you have a thin mat and you need a bit of support underneath the knees, please take a bit of support underneath the knees. If your wrists are an issue for you in this position, you've got a couple of options. You can put a little pad underneath the heel of the hands. If that doesn't give you relief, you can always do most of this on the knuckles with straight arms. But we're going to be changing the position of the hands to relieve the wrist. If you can, you have the palms flat. Check as a detail that your thighs are vertical to begin with. You don't want the thighs to be slanting, closing the hip joint. You want the pelvis to be over the knees. And then press down into the arms to keep the back nice and broad. Just keep the shoulders away from the ear. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, release the head and try and pull the tummy in to lift your back up towards the ceiling so the back rounds. And then you take a breath in there. As you exhale, begin to stick your tummy out to lift the tailbone towards the ceiling to come into a gentle extension. but try not just to drop the ribs to do that. You want to feel the length in the front of the body and the back. Take a breath in. As you exhale, release the head, press down into the hands to round the back up towards the ceiling. You're trying not to shift your weight to do this. Inhale, and then exhale, reverse into that extension, shoulders away from the ears. Now point the fingers towards each other. The elbows will be slightly soft. It's as though you've created a ring, a circle with the arms. Again, check the shoulders away from the ears. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, again, round the back up towards the ceiling. Press into the hands. Inhale, and then exhale. Begin to point the tailbone towards the ceiling as you come into a gentle extension. Just one more. Take a breath in. As you exhale, blow the air out. Use the breath to help you to round the back. Inhale, and then exhale, slowly reverse. Now pause, turn the fingers to the outside, take a breath in. As you breathe out, round the back up towards the ceiling. Let the head be heavy. Inhale, and then exhale, reverse the movement. Just have one more to go with this hand position. Take a breath in. Exhale, round up. Inhale, and then exhale, reverse. Now, point the fingers forward again and come down onto your forearms if possible. So again, just to remind you, you want to be very fussy that your elbows are positioned underneath your shoulders. You don't want the elbows to be flaring out to the side, putting pressure in the shoulder joint. So you might just need to think of gathering in your elbows to make sure they're underneath the shoulders. Again, thighs are vertical. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, it's as if you're trying to brush the mat with the crown of the head as you round the back up towards the ceiling. You inhale, and then as you exhale again, think of pushing the lower tummy out to help bring you into an extension. And again, take a breath in. As you exhale, let the head brush along the mat to round the back. Inhale, and then exhale, reverse. Just going to do one more. I love this variation because it really gets the flexion in the lower back area. So you take a breath in. As you exhale, as if you're trying to brush the floor with the crown of the head to bring the knees and the head together. Inhale, and then exhale, reverse. Now, come back onto all fours. I'm going to put this pattern into movement. So you take a breath in. As you exhale, it's as though someone has got hold of your pelvis and they're lifting you up and back as you round the back to sit towards your heels. So if you have knee issues, you just go back to where you can comfortably go, and then look forward as if you're coming forward back onto all fours towards a toy. That's it. And then you take a breath in. As you breathe out, you round the back as you sit back towards the heels once more. And then you look forward as if you're searching for something in front of you to come back onto all fours. Now stay looking forward. You're keeping the eye on the prize, and just sit your bottom back towards the heels again, if possible, looking forward. So why is this important? It's the ability to flex the hip joints but extend the back, keep the back long. Come back onto all fours again, and now this time begin to, as you sit back, aim the pelvis towards your right heel, still looking forward, and then come back onto all fours. And then the next time, aim the pelvis back towards your left heel, and then come forward. And then aim your pelvis back once more to the right heel, and then if you can, so just hover the pelvis above the heel and see, could you polish the heel as if you're polishing the heel with the bottom. So you're just wiggling a little bit from side to side, and then you come back onto all fours, and then you send the pelvis back towards the left heel, and just think, can you wiggle to, just as if you're polishing that heel with the bottom. Means you have to have mobility in the ribs and the shoulders, and then come forward onto all fours again. And now this time, send the pelvis back towards the right heel and slide your left leg down and away from you. until the left knee just goes beyond the other foot, and then come back onto all fours, and then send the pelvis back to the left heel, slide that right leg away from you until the knee just goes beyond the other foot, and then come forward. And then once more, take the pelvis back towards the right heel. Again, you can walk the hands in if necessary, sliding the leg back, and then just see, maybe you could wiggle the pelvis to try and find the floor beside the right foot. If you don't get to the floor, don't worry. And then but if you do, you have to lift the pelvis to bring yourself back, and then return to all fours. And then we'll go to the other side. So you take the pelvis back towards the left heel, you slide the right leg away from you, and if you need to walk the hands in, that's fine. It's as though your bottom, you're just trying to find the floor, but you're not falling, you're just seeing, can you find the floor, and then you lift the pelvis to come back onto all fours. Good. Now stay on all fours for a moment, and then just see, can you walk your hands back and move the pelvis back to sit on your heels. So many people, it's a too strong a stretch if your knees are an issue, so you just go to where you comfortably can, and then come forward again, curl your toes under, and again just see, can you sit back towards the heels to get that stretch for the plantar side of the foot and the toes. Again, strong stretch on a Monday morning, and then come forward again, point the toes once more, and then again just see, can you begin to sit back onto the heels, so we're stretching out the shin, the front of the foot, the thighs also get a nice lengthening, and then come forward again, and then once more curl your toes under and try to sit back on the heels to get that lovely stretch. Now just see if you can stay here and lift your left knee a little bit off the floor and put it down, and then lift the right knee a little bit and then put it down. Good. And then come forward, point the fingers towards each other, so back onto all fours, fingers facing towards each other. You take a breath in. As you breathe out, try and stretch the right arm on the floor to the left as you'll bring the right shoulder towards the floor and look towards the ceiling. Inhale, and then exhale, come back to center. Take a breath in. As you exhale, it's the left arm sliding on the floor away from you, looking towards the ceiling. Inhale, and then exhale, come back. Got two more to do, so take a breath in. Right arm, the back of the hand slides away from you on the floor as you bring the shoulder towards the mat, and then you come back. And then last time, take a breath in. As you exhale, reach the left arm away from you as you look towards the ceiling. Inhale, and then come back. Please come and lie down on your back for a second. So, arms down by the side again, feet are hip distance apart. Now, once more, take a breath in. As you breathe out, push your feet down into the floor, not to squeeze the bottom and lift the pelvis so much, but once more to roll the lower back into the floor. So your tailbone tucks under, and then you release. So you take a breath in. As you breathe out, try and press down into the feet evenly to establish that curl, that 12 o'clock position. And then if you have that, you begin to peel the spine further off the mat, but not going any higher than the area between the shoulder blades. And then you inhale, and then you exhale, release all the way back down. Now, it's very easy, if you're not noticing what's happening, to turn this into a back bend or a bridge, but again, we don't want to do that. This is abdominal work and back lengthening. So you take a breath in. As you breathe out, push the feet down into the floor firmly and evenly to curl the pelvis, and then you begin to peel the spine up off the mat towards the shoulder blades. You inhale, and then as you exhale, you soften from the breastbone into the spine to try and bring each vertebrae down one after the other till the lower back lands, and then you release all the way into neutral. Let's do one more like that. So really, you want to press into the feet, evenly curl the pelvis, and then you have to work to keep that control as you peel the spine up. As you inhale, careful not to push the ribs up towards the ceiling. You're trying to keep that hammock shape. As you exhale, peel all the way back down. Now, bring the hands above the chest and interlace the hands. So the arms are long above the breastbone. And we're going to take this movement slightly off center. So you take a breath in. As you breathe out, try and make sure it's the right side of the pelvis that lifts first, as if it's going in an arc up and over towards the left shoulder. So you feel the weight has transferred towards the left side of the shoulder, left side of the chest. As you exhale, peel back down on the diagonal, so the right hip is the last thing to land. And then we'll go the other diagonal. You take a breath in. As you breathe out, you have to press a little bit more firmly through the left foot to help, as if the left hip is going in an arc up and over towards the right shoulder. You inhale and then you peel all the way back down to release. We're going to do that one more time each diagonal. Take a breath in. As you exhale, as if the right hip is leading the way in an arc up and over towards the left shoulder. Inhale and then exhale, come back down on the diagonal to release. And then the other side, take a breath in. As you exhale, press into the left foot a little bit more firmly, trying to bring the left hip towards the right shoulder. Inhale and then exhale, slowly release back down. Now just separate the hands. The palms are facing each other. Hands are soft, wrists are soft. Arms are long but not locked in the elbow. And then inhale, just reach the arms up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, drop the shoulders to the floor but keep the arms long. So again, you're reaching up towards the ceiling so the shoulders separate away from the spine. As you exhale, just drop the shoulders back to the floor. Inhale up, exhale, drop the shoulders back down. Got two more to do. Inhale up, keep the hands soft. Exhale, drop the shoulders down. One more time, inhaling up. Exhale, drop the shoulders back down. Now turn the palms towards your knees. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, you scissor one hand down by the hip, the other overhead. And then you inhale, come back to the center above the breastbone and pause. As you exhale, scissor the other way, so the right arm comes down by my hip, left arm overhead. Inhale, come back to the top, pause. As you explore these scissoring movements, again, you have to be mindful of the back and the ribs and the sacrum, because you don't want the arm going overhead to be coming from a back bend. You want the trunk to stay neutral and soft. One more scissor. Inhale to the top, pause. Now take a breath in, still with the arms long. We're going to do some circles if you've got the space. So the arms go overhead, all the way around down by the hips. And then inhale to the top, pause. And again, inhale, exhale, reach overhead, all the way around down by the hips. Inhale to the top, pause. And once more, overhead, all the way around down by the hips. Inhale to the top, pause. And now we reverse the direction, so down by the hips, all the way around to the sides. Inhale to the top, pause. And then two more, hips, all circle all the way around to that lovely, lovely stretch on the chest. Inhale to the top, pause. And then last time down, all the way around. Inhale to the top, pause. And then just carefully bring the arms back down by the side. And then please come to lie on one side. So I'm going to lie on my left side so I can see the camera. Just going to do some leg exercises. So support the head either on the arm, the upper left arm, or on the hand. If you have a pillow to hand, you can always have the pillow between your upper arm and your ear. And then please bend the knees up to about a 90-degree angle. And then stretch your top leg, for me it's my right leg, down long towards the end of your mat. And then inhale. Oh, just make sure that the right hip is above the left hip, it's not rolled back. You want to stack them on top of each other, and your top shoulder above the underneath shoulder, so your top hand can just be on the floor in front of you to support you. Now inhale to flex the right heel, so try and lengthen that heel away from me, and then inhale to lift the foot till it's the leg till it's hip height. Point the foot, and then exhale to lower. So you inhale to flex, exhale to lift till it's hip height, keep flexing, and then you point, and then you exhale to lower. So inhale to flex, exhale to lift, inhale to point, and then exhale to lower. Couple more. Inhale to flex, exhale to lift, just till it's above the line of the hip. If you put your hands on your right outer hips, you'll feel those muscles working in a very satisfactory way. Inhale to point, and then exhale to lower. Again, inhale to flex, exhale to lengthen and lift, inhale to point, and then exhale to lower. Once more. Inhale to flex, exhale to lift. Now from here, inhale to sweep the leg forward with a flex, inhale to point, and take it back in an arc till it goes just behind the line of the hip. Inhale to flex, sweep the leg forward, inhale to point, exhale to take the leg back in an arc. Inhale to flex, exhale, sweep the leg forward without letting it dip to the floor. Inhale to point, exhale to sweep it back in an arc till it is just behind the hip. Inhale to flex, exhale to sweep it forward, inhale to point, and then exhale, take it back in arc. Just have one more to go. Inhale to flex, come forward as though it's resting on a glass coffee table, and then stay there, and then exhale to lift and lower a couple of inches. So you stay with the leg forward, just trying to lift it a few inches and lower it, just to really make sure we've got those outer hip muscles kicking in. Point the foot, take it back in an arc, and then bend the knee. Now lengthen your underneath leg. So for me it's my left leg, stretch it out long and underneath. The right foot, right leg can be just supporting you in front, the foot on the floor in front of you. It can be bent or slightly lengthened, but really stretch that underneath leg, lengthen it away from you. So I have a pointed foot and the heel is slightly turned towards the ceiling, and then you exhale to lift the underneath leg a couple of inches off the floor, and then inhale to lower, exhale to lift, inhale to lower. As you're lifting, you're thinking of lengthening through the leg. As you lower, you're thinking of lengthening through the leg. And it's as if you can imagine you've got a couple of kilos weight on the top of your left inner thigh, and you're just lifting up from there. That's it. Lifting and lowering. Good. And then lift and hold, and see if you can circle the leg. Make some small circles in space, but keep lengthening through that underneath leg to work these inner thigh muscles, and then reverse the direction of the circles. So just nice easy breathing. I'm beginning to feel the work, and then we'll lengthen the legs back down. And then please pause and come to lie on your other side. So I'll just flip round so I can face the camera. Again, support the head on the underneath arm. You can have a pillow, or you can even have the head resting in the hands. And then bend your knees to begin with, both knees. So your underneath leg is going to stay bent, but you straighten the top leg away from you until it's in line with the hip. Just be careful, top side of the pelvis hasn't rolled back, so you want to try and keep them on top of each other. So inhale to flex the top leg, foot. Exhale to lift till it's just above the line of the hip. Inhale to point, and then exhale to lower. So you inhale to flex, keep reaching through that heel as you lengthen and lift the leg above hip height. Inhale to point, and then exhale to lower. Inhale to flex, exhale to lengthen and lift, inhale to point the foot and then carefully lower, inhale to flex, exhale to lift, inhale to point and then carefully lower. And then once more, inhale to flex, exhale to lengthen and lift. Now stay here, come forward with a flex as you exhale, inhale to point and sweep it back in a big arc till it's just behind the line of the hip. Come forward with a flex, inhale to point and sweep it back till it goes just behind the hip. You can feel the buttocks working. Come forward with a flex without letting the leg dip. Inhale to point and sweep it back in an arc. Couple more. Inhale forward with a flex and back with a point. Come forward with a flex and back with a point. Now come forward with a flex, hold there and see if you can lift and lower the leg a few times. The focus is on the lift, lift, lift. That's it. Point and then take it back in a long arc. It's a great exercise. So when I used to work in a Pilates studio, I used to do a lot with little ankle weights on, but you still get a lot of benefit without the weights. So lengthen your top leg in front of you somehow, just to give you a bit of support. It can either be long or slightly bent. And then lengthen your underneath leg away from you. So the idea of the length, you can feel it really begins to engage all the muscles. They begin to come back to the bone to help stabilize the knee. The heel is slightly turned towards the ceiling. And then you take a breath in. As you exhale, you lengthen to lift and inhale to lower. Exhale to lengthen and lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale. So imagine there's that weight on the root of the inner thigh. You're lifting up from there and lower. Got a couple more to do. Inhale to lower and exhale to lift and hold. And now see if you can make some circles in space with the lifted and long legs. So I'm trying to trace a circle on that wall that's beyond me. That's it, with my second toe. And then reverse for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then release the leg back down. Just let the legs go long for a moment and then support yourself to come up to sit facing the front. Good. So we've just been working the hips and leg muscles. Now is a good opportunity to work on mobility in that area. So have your feet, if you possible, so the soles of the feet together, but don't turn this into a yoga pose where the heels are right in towards the groin. Just wherever you can get them is good. And then take hold of your, I'm going to mirror, take hold of your left foot with your left hand. So left foot with the left hand. Now if you can't comfortably reach the foot, you can take hold of the ankle or the shin. You can even have a belt or a dressing gown cord wrapped around the foot if that helps you. And I've got hold of the foot from over the top of the foot and the thumbs and fingers together. So it's not a pinch grip, it's thumb and fingers together. And then lean over on your right hand. So you have that hand supporting you. And then just lean over to the right. And then you come back to center. So you're just leaning over to the right and then you come back to center. As you lean over to the right, just notice, do you tend to tilt the head? Can you keep the head and eyes more or less looking at the screen, and then you come back to center? So in other words, you have to soften the ribs to enable you to keep the head and eyes on center, and then you come back. Once more, lean over to the right, and you'll notice how your left sitting bone has become light. Now, as you come back to the center, see if you can, as if there's a grape underneath that sitting bone, you're trying to lengthen down to squash that grape. So again, just leaning over, and you try to lengthen down through the sit bone to squash that imaginary grape to come back to center. Now again, lean over and see, can you lift the left foot in the air and then put it down and come back to center. So you lean over to lift the foot and then you come back to center. Once more, lean over, try and lift the foot, and now can you bring the knee, which is to the outside of the elbow, to the inside of the elbow. And then take it back to the outside of the elbow to come back to centre. So you lean over and you bring the knee to the inside of the elbow, and then you take it to the outside of the elbow. And again you lean over, take the knee to the inside of the elbow, and then to the outside of the elbow. And then once more take it to the inside of the elbow, take the foot back to its own bottom, and see, can you sit more on both sit bones again. It's very hard to sit evenly on both sit bones because of the asymmetry of the position. And then you lean over, bring the foot back and the knee to the outside of the elbow. And just do that once more. You take the knee to the inside of the elbow, take the foot back. See if you can sit in this side sitting position. Such an important position to try and get comfortable in. And then once more, lean over, take the knee to the outside of the elbow. And then once more, lean over, and this time, can you bring the left foot over to the floor on the right? So you're just exploring, can you make contact with the floor, still hanging on to the foot in different positions? And then some of you will be able to bring that foot to the floor, to the other side of the right thigh, but don't strain to do that. And if you've got it there, try and sit up nice and tall. So you lengthen down through the sit bones and through the crown of the head. And then turn everything, upper body, head and eyes towards your right. And then keep the shoulders turned. Bring the head and eyes to look forward once more over your left shoulder. And then keep the head where it is. Can you now just take the eyes back to the right on the horizon? That everything's differentiated, and then come back. Good. Just do that on the other side. So take hold of your right foot with your right hand and lean, take support from your left arm by the side. And just practice leaning over to the left, and then you come back. So you feel how the ribs have to move over. The ribs on the right hand side become shorter, the left side longer, to enable you to keep the head and eyes looking forward, and then you come back. And then lean over and try and reach down. The grape is now underneath your right sit bone, so you're going to squash that grape. And once more, leaning over, try and reach down to squash that grape. And then you lean over, see if you can lift the foot and bring the knee to the inside of the elbow and then to the outside of the elbow. So you're just trying to lean over, bring the knee to the inside of the elbow and then to the outside of the elbow. So what we're doing here, we're internally rotating the femur in the hip joint, and then we're externally rotating the femur in the hip joint. And once more, take the knee to the inside of the elbow, see if you can take that foot back to its own bottom and come and sit in towards a side sitting position. So very interesting, because one femur is internally rotated, other is externally rotated. And then come back, bring the knee to the outside of the elbow, and then just see, can you bring the foot to the floor? Just explore different positions over to the left. And some of you will be able to bring that foot to the other side of the left thigh, but don't strain to do that. And then try to lengthen up through the spine, through the crown of the head. Turn everything to look to your left, head and eyes on the horizon. Keep the shoulders turned, bring the head and eyes to look over the shoulder. So here we are in that Victoria Beckham position. And then take your eyes back on the horizon to the left. Good. And then leave it alone and undo. Just come back onto all fours for a second. Curl the toes under. And walk the hands back towards the knees. Lower the head. Lift the knees and the bottom to bring the heels down, and then roll up through, slowly through the spine to come up. And then in standing, take your arms up towards the ceiling as you inhale, exhale to release them down. That's it. And then two more like that. So inhaling up and exhaling down, and then last time inhaling and exhaling, and give yourself a clap.